WWE hyped up 6 segments ahead of tonight's show, which is a big increase from the usual preview for its weekly shows. Out of the 3 announced matches, 2 were for championships and featured members of the Judgment Day. Dominic Mysterio defended the NXT North American Championship against Dragon Lee, while his brothers in arms, Finn Balor and Damian Priest, defended the Undisputed Tag Team Championships against Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. The other match WWE announced was Bronson Reed taking on Otis. We also heard from Cody Rhodes, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Drew McIntyre in different segments. Let's take a look at everything that happened on tonight's edition of Raw for this is Ridiculously Raw. Welcome, everybody, to Ridiculously Raw, the most must-see show on YouTube and StreamYard.com today. I am your host, Anthony Florio, joined as always by good old MF Michael Fletcher. We are maybe awaiting the presence of the phenom Michael Bullock. If he comes in, we'll catch him up on what he missed. If not, then we'll hopefully have him back with us Wednesday night for Wednesday Night Madness. Monday Night Raw live tonight. Excuse me one moment. Live from the Toyota Arena in Ontario, California, on the USA Network. And we had a opening segment, Cody Rhodes cutting a promo, and he spoke well for over 5 minutes before he was interrupted by the Judgment Day. And this led to Cody and Dom trading insults until Judgment Day had decided it had heard enough. All 3 men prepared to attack when Jey Uso arrived to stand next to the American Nightmare. Judgment Day was going to attack anyway, but Sami and KO showed up to make it 4-on-3 in favor of the babyfaces. JD McDonough showed up with some steel chairs, but Damian Priest, hesitating to join them in the attack, allowed the babyfaces to maintain the upper hand. All 4 took out the Archer of Infamy last to end the segment. This was a solid opening segment. It set up multiple things for the show and kept a couple of storylines going nicely. While Dom was talking, you could tell WWE was only playing the audio from his mic in the arena and not from the direct feed they have from the mic. It was pretty funny when he finally got upset about all of the boos. And Damian Priest's reaction when he realized he was all alone against all 4 men was great. So it was a solid segment. So, not going to really go too much into it. So, of course, we do have cutouts here, and we start off with a cutout. MF, did you want to get into that opening segment, or?
I was just gonna mention very quickly how I really like the segment, but there is something I want to address, and we'll talk about that later in the night. Not yet, but we'll get to it.
Okay, fair enough. First match of the night, Big Bronson Reed squaring off against Otis. Big Bronson Reed wins the match, 4 minutes and 25 seconds. Both men showed off their power by picking each other up at different times. This wasn't a very long match, but it didn't need to be in order to be fun. This was the kind of match we almost never see anymore in WWE, so it felt unique. Reed picked up a clean win with a tsunami. This match was everything Big E would want it to be. Wade Barrett using Big E's quote and talking about him was great. It's hard not to miss Big E whenever his name comes up. And Reed picking up Otis for a Samoan drop was incredibly impressive because he actually did it with one arm. I'm going to give this about 2 to 2.5 stars. MF, if you want to give a quick thought, feel free.
Be a man hoss fight type match. I think is definitely a 2-star bout. It was good for what it was worth. I kind of wish Otis would have gotten a little more offense in this match, but this was more of a showcase for Bronson Reed, so I'm actually cool with it. So let's move on.
All right, and then then our next match was Tommaso Ciampa squaring off against Ludwig Kaiser. Tommaso Ciampa wins the match in roughly an even 8 minutes. And MF, because of this, next week, Tommaso Ciampa and Gunther are going to sign a contract for a future Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship match.
Yeah, and let me tell you, man, that did not sit well with the Ring General. If you saw a backstage moment later on in the evening, there was definitely there's some dissension among the ranks in Imperium. You know, that was definitely a mistake that was made. And, you know, it looked like Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci might not be, you know, they're not seeing eye to eye right now. And the thing is that it doesn't matter what the situation is. For Tommaso Ciampa, hey, golden opportunity, a golden chance now. He now gets a shot down the line against the Intercontinental Champion, Gunther. I mean, hey, if you're Ciampa, you called your shot. You saw your eyes. You saw that beautiful gold of the Intercontinental Championship, and he's like, The last time I saw that look on his face was definitely when he had his eyes on the NXT title, calling it Goldie. You remember that, Florio? And now he's got that eye on the Intercontinental Championship now. I mean, I don't think he's going to win it, but I'll say this, man. He's going to give Gunther a hell of a test for that IC title. So it's yours. 2.5 to 3.
Yeah. Let me just pull this up. All right. This was a good match that gave both men a chance to perform without Gunther being there to distract from their performance. Ciampa took out Giovanni Vinci with a knee, and the ref checking on him cost Kaiser the pin. Ciampa capitalized and hit a huge knee to score the win. This did two things well. It made Ciampa look like a credible threat to Gunther and his Intercontinental title reign, and it also set up Kaiser and Vinci to be on Gunther's bad side when he sees them again, like MF mentioned. Ciampa is always more entertaining when he is allowed to have a little fun. The way he mocked Imperium's way of standing at attention was funny, and Ciampa's ripcord knee looked great from the angle they used. I agree. 2.5, well, a little bit. 2.5, 2 3/4. That's the best I can go on this one. So there isn't much more to say on that one. I guess we could call this a number one. This was actually a number one contenders match for the NXT Women's Championship. It was Natalya squaring off against Tegan Nox, and Tegan Nox wins the match in 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Yeah, the match was whatever. But still, while this match was positioned as a young talent taking on a veteran, Nox is no rookie. She has 10 years of experience already at just 28 years old. So it was nice to see her show some of the skills she has developed in this match. This feels like the first time since she returned last year that we have really gotten a chance to see how Nox wrestles. While most of the match was fine, the ending felt a bit abrupt. Tegan Nox hit the shiniest wizard for the win, but something about how it all happened felt anticlimactic for some odd reason. Natalya's sit-out powerbomb was nice. This match was very short and would have benefited from a few more minutes. Surprisingly, Natalya is one of the few people on the main roster who has been in the ring with Tegan Nox more than once. She and Shotzi had a couple of matches against Natty and Tamina. But nonetheless, I could probably give it maybe 1 to 1.5 for the effort. But MF, big picture, next week. Now they announced that we all know Saturday night, No Mercy, Extreme Rules match, Becky Lynch and Tiffany Stratton for the NXT Women's Championship. Winner of that match will now defend against Tegan Nox next Monday night on Raw in San Jose.
Yeah, no, this is going to be very interesting. And as a matter of fact, what actually was supposed to happen, we didn't find this out till much later. I think it was like a couple of days later. Tegan Nox was supposed to take on Becky Lynch. So Tegan Nox was supposed to have been the one to fight Becky Lynch for the NXT Women's title when they did that open challenge 1 week ago on Monday Night Raw. But for some odd reason, they held Tegan off. They did not want her, they held Tegan off, and that made very interesting, and they let Natalya get it. As a matter of fact, they said the reason why that they let Natalya get the shot was because they wanted it to reward her for doing double duty at the UAE or at India, where Becky was unable to perform. She was supposed to fight in India and she couldn't do it. So they had because of some visa issues, and then that's why Natalia got the fight. So now we heard last Monday night on Raw that it was supposed to be Tegan Knox getting the shot. And then for some reason, they switched it to Natalia because they wanted to reward Natalia for what she did in India. And now Tegan comes back, gets the shot. So we're going to get, it looks like we're going to get maybe Becky Lynch versus Tegan Knox. Now, if that's the match, I still got to go with Becky. If Tegan and Tiffany happens, I don't know. I mean, I think it would be better maybe for Tegan to get the belt, have her go back to NXT because she hasn't done much in WWE lately. I would say I think Tegan would do fine back in NXT. So who knows? Tiffany wins the belt, drop the belt right back to drop the belt to Tegan. Tegan's never been an NXT Women's Champion either. So it would be the most remarkable story if she gets the belt, but we'll wait and see what happens. So nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
All right. So I think that should do it for the short matches now, because I think now we get into the business here. In-ring segment next. The World Heavyweight Champion, Seth freaking Rollins. Whoa. And he cuts a promo, and, you know, he was like, all right, Shinsuke, what's it going to be? And then Shinsuke Nakamura comes on the Titantron and says, I accept your challenge. Fastlane, last man standing match. Whoa, okay, MF. All right. Business has damn sure picked up.
You know, last man standing is the be all, the end all. You going into that fight, going into that match, you already know it's about to go down. It is serious, it is real. I mean, it's going to be a very interesting matchup, to say the very least. And it can go one way or the other. But I'll say this is going to be amazing. Uh, Obviously, the you can call it the spotlight of the night or the promo segment of the night. It was amazing. I can't wait, man. Nakamura and Rollins, last man standing. Oh Lord, that's gonna be a fight. So I got nothing more to say. Anthony, it's yours.
Yeah, segment of the night indeed. And I mean, what else is there to say? It was indeed the non-wrestling segment of the night. The Nakamura videos continue to be top notch. Seth Rollins came back with a strong rebuttal, and I love the last man standing stipulation because it doesn't require anyone to be pinned, which makes Shinsuke feel like more of a threat to win with some type of clunky finish. But nonetheless, segment of the night, won a match that's got show stealer potential in Indianapolis on October 7th. So there isn't much more to say on that. All right. Now this is where the fun's going to start. Although it really started with that segment right there. NXT North American Championship on the line. The champion, Dominic Mysterio, defending against Dragon Lee. Winner of the match, 10 minutes and 10 seconds. And still the NXT North American Champion, Dominic Mysterio. These two have met before in NXT, so they both went into this knowing what to expect. However, this time, Dom didn't have Rhea Ripley at ringside to interfere on his behalf. Say what you want about Dom, but he looked good in this match. We are used to seeing him have a partner or someone at ringside, so getting to see him stand on his own 2 feet as a superstar for once allowed him to show off how much he has grown as a performer. The High Flyer and Dirty Dom earned themselves a "This is awesome" chant as they worked toward the finish. After a hard-fought match, Dominic was able to pick up the win and retain the North American Championship. Michael Cole did a great job of giving fans a short description of Dragon Lee during his entrance. It's nice to see that he isn't being portrayed as a rookie just because he is new to WWE. The corner drop kick Lee hit looked nasty. It's surprising Dom didn't have a bloody nose after it. And Lee's Hurricanrana from the apron looked fantastic. I'm gonna give this about 3.5 stars for the effort. We got Michael Bullock in. We'll catch him up in a little bit, but first, MF, your thoughts as Dominic Mysterio successfully defends the North American title against Dragon Lee. 10 minutes, 10 seconds, 3.25, 3.5 for me. What says you? MF?
Yeah, I would probably say about 3.25. This was an excellent match. This was exactly everything that it needed it to be. A strong championship match that had everybody enjoying, to say the very least. And for me, it was better than expected. And I think it's time that, we saw a great battle and a great, fight. And at the end, we saw history made. So Dominic Mysterio finally on his own. And the thing is, he delivered. He delivered in a great matchup. The hard work, the training, everything that we've done, it worked. So I was very impressed with how it played out. So yeah, great matchup. Michael Bullock, I'm glad you came in, man, because you should be very proud of Dragon Lee and Dominic Mysterio going on Monday Night Raw, the North American title on the line. And my goodness, man, show stealer fight of the night. I mean, I'm not saying that it was the fight of the night, but it definitely was a sleeper fight of the night. You can even say maybe second or third best fight of the evening with the 3.25 stars. But take a bow, my friend, and applaud these two men because they represented NXT with a lot of class and dignity tonight, man. Well done.
There you go, Bullock. So, all right, we got Michael Bullock in. Yep, Michael Bullock and I, we had our traditional Monday Night Raw chat this evening, and Bullock, let's see, we started it off with that promo segment. We didn't really get into that. Bronson Reed defeated Otis 425. You don't really need to address that unless you want to. But I guess not. All right. Tommaso Ciampa defeating Ludwig Kaiser in roughly 8 minutes. And next week, Tommaso Ciampa and Gunther will sign a contract for a future Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship match.
Yeah, I thought this was a good match here. This was to me about a 2.5 star match. So yeah, Gunther, Tommaso Ciampa for the Intercontinental title somewhere down the line. I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Definitely. Tegan Nox defeating Natalya 2 minutes 40 seconds. Yeah, the match was meh or whatever, but let's not forget, as we saw on the show tonight, Bullock, don't forget, Tegan Nox now has a golden opportunity. She will face either Becky Lynch or Tiffany Stratton for the NXT Women's Championship next Monday night on Raw in San Jose.
Yeah, definitely a huge opportunity for Tegan Nox. No matter who she faces next week.
All right, and then of course our boy Seth freaking Rollins. Whoa, the World Heavyweight Champion cuts a promo, interrupted by Shinsuke Nakamura. Shinsuke accepts the challenge of Seth freaking Rollins, and at Fastlane, it'll be Seth Rollins versus Shinsuke Nakamura for the World Heavyweight Championship. Last man standing match.
Oh yeah, this has definitely gotten personal to the point that they're gonna face off in the last man standing match. I mean, man, this is gonna be something really good with these two.
All right. And then I believe this is where, all right, and the match that MF and I just talked about, Dominic Mysterio, Dragon Lee, North American Championship. Dominic Mysterio successfully defends the title, 10 minutes and 10 seconds.
Yeah, what a match this was. I mean, I enjoyed this. I mean, the thing is, there were no like shenanigans and all this, but yeah, Dominic somehow pulls it out. So I'll give this 3.25 to 3.5.
All right, Bullock. Now you're all caught up, and now we get back into we continue on here. We had another in-ring segment. Michael Cole in-ring interview with the returning Nia Jax, interrupted by Zoe Stark. Led into a match, Nia Jax against Zoe Stark. Nia Jax wins the match 2 minutes and 55 seconds. We're not really gonna, get much into this, but I will say the match didn't do anything to help Zoe Stark, but it was a halfway decent way to bring Nia Jax back into the fold. Match wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great either. It was just kind of fun. So I would say by default, this was the worst fight of the night. 1 star. Crowd was giving Nia a ton of heat. It'll be interesting to see if she can maintain it. And Zoe Stark has such a nice drop kick. She gets great elevation. And then we had another in-ring segment, Miz TV. Miz's guest was Drew McIntyre, interrupted by the New Day, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, and then it led into another match as it was Drew McIntyre squaring off against Kofi Kingston. Drew McIntyre wins the match in roughly an even 12 minutes. And then after the match was over, Ivar of the Viking Raiders attacked Kofi and Xavier, and Drew McIntyre didn't do anything about it. MF, if I didn't know better, I'd say that Drew McIntyre is on the verge of a heel turn here. MF? Well, I don't know where our MF is. Drew McIntyre defeating Kofi Kingston in an even 12 minutes. If MF isn't here, Michael Bullock, why don't you just take the first shot here? Oh, okay, we got MF in. All right, never mind, Bullock. MF, Drew McIntyre defeating Kofi Kingston, roughly 12 minutes. Ivar, the Viking Raiders, attacked the New Day after the match was over. Drew did nothing about it. Smells like a heel turn to me.
It does, and it seems like he's at the point where he just doesn't care, and that's a very interesting dynamic that they're gonna play that level. But it is what it is. We heard about it, so yeah. How's that gonna look? We don't know, but I'll say this, man. McIntyre is starting to make a lot of enemies now, and he is really starting to you saw he didn't help Jey Uso, didn't help the New Day. He's starting to make a lot of enemies, and that's gonna come back. I don't know where the end game is here. Could that be the reason? Could he be the one? Is he gonna be angled to be traded to SmackDown because of this? So I mean, who knows how this plays out? But one thing's for sure, man. Drew McIntyre is starting to create some enemies, and the fans are starting to turn. You heard there was a few boos towards Drew McIntyre here tonight. So McIntyre's not helping his causes right about now. So nothing more to say. I want to say this is about 3-star bout, so Bullock is yours.
Yeah, I'll give this about maybe 3.25 when it comes to this. But yeah, right now, I mean, Drew McIntyre is making a lot of enemies with his attitude, and yeah, he better watch himself, because with this heel turn, I mean, he's going to be making a lot of enemies, and so we'll have to wait and see what happens with this. So it's yours, Florio.
3.25 to 3.5 is my rating for this. These two have been in the ring together dozens of times over the years, so they had enough chemistry to make this a decent match without even trying. If the goal is to turn the Scottish Warrior into a heel, he is well on his way. This was a pretty fun encounter that made McIntyre look like a beast. Ivar attacked Kofi and McIntyre did not help. McIntyre repeatedly telling The Miz to shut up was funny, but the headbutt he hit was even funnier. McIntyre is going to be a great heel if WWE fully turns him. He is in a much better place in his career than he was during his last heel run. The Miz seemed to just disappear during the break. He must not have wanted revenge for the headbutt McIntyre gave him. Ivar hitting a moonsault was insane and nuts. Wow. Unbelievable. So this was a 3 1/4, 3.5. Now we move on to the main event of the evening. The return match from Payback. The undisputed WWE Tag Team Championship. The only difference is it's not under street fight rules. It's under traditional wrestling match rules. The champions, Damian Priest and Finn Balor, defending the titles against the challengers and the former champions, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Winners of the match in 20 minutes and 15 seconds. And still the undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions, Damian Priest and Finn Balor, Michael Bullock, JD McDonough, the difference maker.
Yeah, this obviously was the fight of the night. I'll give this about maybe 4 stars. I mean, I could have given it 4.5, but obviously JD McDonough interfering, like you said, was the difference in this matchup here. So yeah, it looks like everybody's now going to have to deal with JD McDonough, because it looks like now he is the new problem when it comes to dealing with the Judgment Day. So yeah, there's really nothing more for me to say. Fight of the night. I mean, like I said, I would give it 4 4.25, 4.5, but it's only 4 because of the JD McDonough interference. So it's yours, Florio.
Overall, it's a 4.5-star match, but I'm bumping it down to 4.25 because of the overbooked finish. It should come as no surprise to anyone that this was a good match. All 4 men are veterans with track records of being reliable and entertaining performers. So they would almost have to try to have a bad match at this point. This was an exciting way to end the show, especially for the live crowd. As expected, Dominic showed up toward the end in an attempt to interfere. Jey Uso, JD McDonough, and Cody Rhodes also showed up as a huge brawl broke out at ringside. The ending was a bit overbooked, but we eventually got the finish where McDonough used the title belt to knock out Sami so Damian Priest could score the win. Michael Cole made a few mistakes while announcing this week, such as saying Sami Owen instead of Sami Zayn. Maybe he's just short on sleep. He's usually good with that stuff. The way this week's show was laid out was kind of weird. It felt like the commercial breaks either weren't spaced out properly or WWE was running low on time toward the show's end and had to make some adjustments. KO was doing a lot of great selling with his facial expressions. He is so good at making it look like he is in excruciating pain. So not much more to say on this. 4.25 stars. Fight of the night for me. So MF, champions stay the champions thanks to JD McDonough.
Yeah, this was wild. This was insane because of the fact that, Dominic, JD were there, Cody, and Jey Uso was there, and all of a sudden you see the pure chaos running amok, at all the drama, all the craziness, with everything that laid out, and all of a sudden I was thinking, I'm like, wait a minute. 4 men on each side. I'm like, you know what? I think a rocket scientist could get this one. 4 men on each side? Why don't we get 2 rings and a steel cage to settle this? You know where I'm going, boys. JD McDonough, Dominic Mysterio, Damian Priest, and Finn Balor versus Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Jey Uso, and the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes.
War Games.
Well, you just stole my thunder there, Florio. I was about to say it, but you kind of
Oh, sorry about that.
You kind of jumped the gun on me, but all right. But that's where I was thinking. That's what I think where we're heading. We might be heading down that road, and it would be perfect. Why not? I mean, I thought of it right then and there, right at the end, when that brawl broke out. I'm like, wait a minute. Oh no, you're not. It went off in my head. I was like, huh. 4 men on each side. That would be the recipe for a War Games. I think it's 4-on-4 traditionally.
Well, both
WWE.
matches last year were 5-on-5.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to go 5-on-5, but I remember the NXT was 4-on-4.
That's right.
NXT's was 4-on-4.
Yep.
So I mean, you could, if you wanted to, play that card. But I think we might be heading towards the War Games. We might.
Perhaps. So we'll wait and see what happens. So with that, we get into our overall review. And the good thing about Monday Night Raw is that it tends to be consistent. The bad thing about Raw is that consistency can also be boring. Tonight's show was decent, but it feels like every show we have seen for months has been the same way. It's not good enough to just be good enough anymore. WWE needs to make its shows must-see TV again. We have Raw, NXT, and SmackDown every week, which doesn't even take into account NXT Level Up and Main Event. WWE has a lot of hours to fill, but it has more than enough talent to do that. And a lot of those people just sit on the sidelines most weeks. The two matches involving members of Judgment Day and Otis versus Reed were the biggest highlights on a show that had very few memorable moments. Again, this show is good, but it needs to be better than good to keep people tuning in every week during football season. Whether it's one game or two, especially two. But I'm going to give it about 7.5, maybe 8 out of 10. That's the best I can go. So there isn't much more for me to add on to it. So MF, your overall thoughts on tonight's Raw?
7.5, definitely. Should have been better in certain areas. I'm not gonna gloss over the fact that it didn't deliver in every little aspect. But I will say is that at the end of the day, I think it could be a lot more better than what we had. But still, they did well. It was still solid enough, and it was enjoyable enough. So I really have nothing bad to say. We'll just have to wait and see how it plays out. So yeah, nothing more to add. And Michael Bullock, I give it to you.
Yeah, I mean, I thought overall, it was a good show. I mean, it could have been better in certain areas, but I mean, I'm not gonna really complain all that much about it. I mean, yeah, I'm with the majority. I'll give it about maybe 7.5 as well. So yeah. So with that being said, Florio, let's get to your Tony's take.
Indeed. The 1000th episode of Impact Wrestling was a 2-week affair, not one. This was week. We're going to get into week number 2 now. And we started it off with a 6-man Ultimate X match. And the winner would be the next challenger for the X Division Championship. Okay, there we go. We started it off with the Ultimate X match. It was Ace Austin versus Alan Angels versus Mike Bailey versus Rich Swann versus Zachary Wentz versus Samurai Del Sol. Winner of the match in 9 minutes and 40 seconds, Alan Angels. 5. You remember Alan Angels? He was a part of the Dark Order in Impact Wrestling. He was number 5. Well, he now gets the X Division title shot. 3, 3.25. These things are always such insanity with one big spot after another, and that's what you had here. It was a fun match with people flying all over the place, with that spot of 4 people hanging upside down at once being quite the visual. As odd as this match can be, it's Impact's match, and having one on here made all the sense in the world. Dirty Dango versus Jake Something. And Jake Something wins it 3 minutes and 59 seconds. 2 stars. Something continues to feel like a monster in the make. Jake Something continues to feel like a monster in the making. And now he's starting to rack up some wins. That's the way you make someone into a star. And Impact seems to understand that with Something. At the same time, Dango is a great smarmy heel, and it feels good to see him get what is coming to him. Kenny King versus Eric Young gets thrown out. Via gets thrown out in 33 seconds. Sheldon Jean interfered. Then it was Kenny, and then Santino Marella rebooked the match as Kenny King and Sheldon Jean versus Eric Young and Scott D'Amore. The design run in, another throwaway, 17 seconds, and then Special Associate Director of Authority, MF, give me a shell, yeah. Stone Cold Shark Boy. He restarts the match as an 8-man tag team match. You had Kenny King, Sheldon Jean, and the design going up against Eric Young, Scott D'Amore, and 2 special partners to join EY and Scott D'Amore. MF, do I need to even say Cowboy James Storm, Wildcat Chris Harris, America's Most Wanted.
One of the greatest TNA tag teams of all time. I mean, you want to talk about pioneers in Impact Wrestling. This was it. You don't get any bigger or better than these 2 guys. Chris Harris, James Storm. Oh my God, what a moment that was. I mean, that encompasses everything about Impact Wrestling right there. That reuniting of them 2. I mean, what a moment. What a historic moment that is.
AMW, man. Whoa. And no surprise here, babyface team wins the match, 6 minutes and 50 seconds. 2.5, 2 3/4. The people running in over and over, and the match growing was a good story. And having AMW on the show was great to see. Like MF mentioned, they were one of the first acts to really get over in Impact Wrestling, with Cowboy James Storm in particular being an absolute requirement for the show. This was wacky entertainment with some nostalgia thrown in, which is exactly what it should have been. Trey Miguel, one-on-one with the walking weapon, Josh Alexander. Josh Alexander wins the match, 14 minutes and 4 seconds, 3.5 stars. The ending makes things more interesting, but this was the here are 2 talented guys doing their thing match. That's all but guaranteed to work, and Alexander picks up a win that should continue pushing him towards Bound for Glory. Miguel losing again is not nice to see, though he and Zachary Wentz have done well enough as a team to give him some padding. Let's not forget. And then after the match was over, Alex Shelley and Josh Alexander had a verbal exchange. And MF, we have the main event for Bound for Glory. Alex Shelley, Josh Alexander for the Impact Wrestling World Heavyweight Championship. Bound for Glory main event. Boom. There you go. And then we had another match that was announced. Not only do we have that world title main event with Shelley and Alexander, how about this? Speedball Mike Bailey is going to go one-on-one with Will Ospreay. Show stealer. I don't think there's anything left to say. Yes, you could build the card. I mean, those 2 matches could be the whole card right there. But you know there's going to be plenty more coming up within the next month or so. But Ospreay and Bailey, my God, that is going to be insane. I can't wait to see it. And then from there, the big 10 knockout tag team match. On the heel team, you had Angelina Love, Savannah Evans, the virtuosa Deonna Purrazzo, the Bariqua badass Tasha Steelz, and the quintessential diva Giselle Shaw, facing off against, listen to this lineup on the babyface team. Awesome Kong, Juggernaut Jordan Grace, Gail Kim, the reigning Knockouts champion Trinity, and Mickie James. Imagine putting all 5 of those women in WWE on a Survivor Series team. That would be the greatest women's Survivor Series team ever. I don't care what anybody says. And to the surprise of none of us, the babyface team wins the match, 14 minutes and 34 seconds. 3.5 stars again. Quality here was all right, but this was about having the legends and modern stars mix it up, and it worked well. Awesome Kong and Gail Kim teaming together is one of those things that feels like a special moment, and it was a very nice way to end such a milestone show. I had a great time with this, and it is exactly what they seem to be trying to do. 8 out of 10. It was much more of a regular edition of the show with some nostalgia sprinkled in. That works just fine after the previous week, and I had a good time with watching the whole thing. We have a main event for Bound for Glory, and AMW was back in a cool surprise. That's a great mixture of stuff, and the show was a fun ride throughout. Now just get to Chicago for the big show, and Impact will be back on its roll from earlier this year. So that was an 8 out of 10 for me. So let's get into what we can expect this upcoming week on Impact Wrestling. Excuse me one moment. Okay. I don't know why that thing keeps popping up, but it does. All right. This Thursday night on Impact Wrestling, Yuya Uemura goodbye ceremony. Speedball Mike Bailey goes one-on-one with Jonathan Gresham. Impact Digital Media Champion Tommy Dreamer teams up with Heath to take on Kenny King and Sheldon Jean in a Memphis street fight. And then in the main event for the X Division Championship, the champion Chris Sabin defending against the winner of the Ultimate X match, Alan Angels. So that all goes down Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern on Access TV, 8:30 p.m. on YouTube for those of you who have the Impact Insider membership. And then, of course, 10 p.m. or whenever Impact Plus uploads it to their library. So it's right there whenever you're ready for it. All right. NXT Level Up closes it out, and let's dive on in. Just give me one moment here. Get this up and running. All right, here we go. Started it off with Ivy Nile against Izzy Dame. Ivy Nile wins the match, 5 minutes and 24 seconds. It was something different with Nile being on the defensive, which wasn't as much fun as when she is smashing someone. Dame has good size and power, and I'm curious to see how she develops. 1-star match. Ikemen Jiro against Luca Crucifino. Luca Crucifino wins the match in 3 minutes. It sucks that Jiro got sent out with a 3-minute loss to the Wrestling Lawyer. Best of luck to Ikemen Jiro, who was released as part of those releases last week. 1 star. And then the main event, the final match of the Global Heritage Invitational, Group A, Axiom versus Charlie Dempsey. Axiom wins the match, 6 minutes and 53 seconds. It was as fun as you would expect. Dempsey is the newbie in the group, so it's not shocking he ended up going 0-3. I enjoyed having these matches on the show as they carried some importance. And give me more of these guys in the ring. Solid 3 stars. 7 out of 10. Main event is enough to make it a good show. Seeing Ikemen Jiro go out in a 3-minute loss is kind of a bummer. The opener was different, and I will have to get used to seeing Ivy Nile fight from underneath. As always, an easy show to watch, and last week we were rewarded with a nice match to close it. So 7 out of 10 for that. And with that, that will put the bow on this edition of Ridiculously Raw. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in as always. We will be back with you Wednesday night. What time Wednesday? I'm at 10, 10:30. I lost track for a moment. But nonetheless, Wednesday night we will be next with you at 10 or 10:30 with MF over on Braves Fan 95. Wednesday Night Madness, as we will have, as it will be NXT and AEW Dynamite as always, and then we will preview this Thursday night's football game on Amazon Prime Video. Good one here. NFC North division implications in this one. Winner gets sole possession of first in the NFC North. The Detroit Lions squaring off against the Green Bay Packers from Lambeau Field in Green Bay. And then Thursday night, we have the Week 5 edition of TXN Sports World College Football Thursday. Another exciting lineup of games, headlined by the biggest game in the history of Duke football when Duke hosts Notre Dame. Prime time Saturday night ABC game of the week. That and a whole lot more on Thursday. And then Friday, we have the Week 4 edition of TXN Sports World NFL Friday. We'll recap the Lion-Packer game. We'll preview the remaining games of week number 4, including our first London game between the Atlanta Falcons and the Jacksonville Jaguars. But honest to goodness, we all know what the game of the week is. The Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills. That's the big one. We'll get into all of that on Friday. And then Saturday, Cerebral Smack Talk, hosted by MF. Friday Night SmackDown and AEW Collision. And we also will be previewing the AEW Wrestle Dream pay-per-view because that goes down this Sunday. So, and MF, we also have to figure out how we're going to maybe Wednesday night, maybe we could preview the NXT No Mercy. I don't know. We'll have to, figure that out, especially with the football shows in play now. So, but I know we'll figure something out. So that's it. So until Wednesday night for Wednesday Night Madness, hosted by MF on BraceFan95. It's Anthony Floyo here for good old MF Michael Fletcher, and in spirit, the Phenom Michael Bullock. And of course, always and forever, the First Lady Dee Woodson. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed couple of days. And until Wednesday night for Wednesday Night Madness, you've been watching Ridiculously Raw right here on the Zone 25 on YouTube and Streamer.com. And remember, my friends, no matter what anyone tells you beyond anything else, wrestling is indeed actually real. For everybody who's been a part of this one, for now, Anthony Floyo. So long. Bye, everybody. Bye.